Good day everybody. In this demo I will illustrate CI/CD process. This pipeline implements a robust, automated continuous integration and continuous deployment that is CI or CD workflow for a SS Online Store e-commerce platform. It leverages a build once, deploy many strategy to ensure consistency across environments such as dev, test, UAT, prod, and employs a blue or green deployment strategy in production to achieve zero downtime updates. The technical stack is as follows. CI or CD platform utilizes Azure DevOps such as Azure Pipelines via YAML. Agent pool is self-hosted Windows agents. Application framework are Next.js 15 that is React and TypeScript. Database ORM is Build Prisma MySQL. Process management is constructed of PM2 Production Process Manager for Node.js. Scripting done via PowerShell core. Testing frameworks used are Unit Build via Vitest Fast, Vite native unit testing. Integration utilizes Postman Newman for API testing. E2E uses Playwright for browser automation. Pipeline architecture and workflow are as follows. Stage 1 Build CI. Objective is to create a single, immutable deployment artifact. The key actions that are performed are installs dependencies and generates Prisma client. Compiles the application using Next Build and standalone mode that optimizes for production by bundling only necessary files. Packages the standalone build, static assets, public files, database schema, and test suites into a pipeline artifact that is drop. Outcomes are a portable, self-contained artifact ready for any environment. Stage 2 Development that is dev. Objectives is rapid deployment and unit verification. Key actions are deploys the artifact to the dev environment. Injects development environment variables. Gate is to execute unit tests using Vitest to verify component logic. Finally publishes code coverage reports through Cobertura. Stage 3, Testing that is test. Objective is API and system integration verification. Key actions are deploys to the test environment. Injects test environment variables. Gate is to execute integration tests using Newman that is Postman collections to validate API endpoints and database interactions. Publishes JUnit test results. Stage 4, User acceptance that is UAT. Objective is end-to-end user journey validation. Key actions are deploys to the UAT environment. Injects UAT environment variables. Gate is to execute E2E tests using Playwright to simulate real user scenarios such as login, checkout, admin flows on a Chromium browser. Publishes detailed E2E test reports. Stage 5, Production that is prod. Objective is zero downtime release to live users. Strategy is blue or green deployment via folder-based. Workflow is as follows. Backup archives the current live version. Deploy idle deploys the new version to the idle, to green slot. Health check verifies the idle slot is healthy and responding. Switch traffic stops both live and idle processes to release file locks. Renames the current live folder to old. Renames the idle folder to live. Starts the new live application. Rollback capability if the new version fails health checks. The pipeline automatically restores the previous version from backup. Key functionalities and features are as follows. Zero downtime deployment that is by preparing the new version in an idle slot and swapping it only when ready. The pipeline minimizes service interruption. Automated quality gates safeguards the pipeline and enforces strict quality control. If unit, integration, or end-to-end tests fail, the deployment to the next stage and ultimately production is blocked. Environment isolation ensures each stage uses distinct environment variables that is .env.dev, .env.prod, ensuring data isolation and configuration safety. Self-healing and robustness are file locking handling that includes retry logic and process termination to handle Windows file locking issues during deployment. Process persistence uses PM2 to manage application processes, ensuring they restart automatically if the server reboots. Comprehensive reporting generates and publishes JUnit XML reports for all test levels, providing visibility into test health directly within the Azure DevOps dashboard. I have made code changes and pushing the code to Azure repository. The CI/CD pipeline triggers automatically as a result of continuous integration. First, the build job stage starts its execution. Here the build is generated and the artifact are generated. Next, the deploy to dev stage execution begins. Build is deployed to the dev environment. I am navigating to the ssonlinestore.com in the dev environment. Performing some basic navigation checks. The run unit test stage execution begins and unit tests are executed and generated reports are published to Azure Pipeline. Next, the deploy to test stage execution begins. Build is deployed to the test environment. I am navigating to the ssonlinestore.com in the test environment, performing some basic navigation checks. The run integration test stage execution begins and integration tests are executed and generated reports are published to Azure Pipeline. Next, the deploy to UAT stage execution begins. Build is deployed to the test environment. I am navigating to the ssonlinestore.com in the UAT environment, performing some basic navigation checks. The run end-to-end test stage execution begins and end-to-end tests are executed in Chrome browser and generated reports are published to Azure Pipeline. Next, the prod blue or green plus rollback stage execution begins and the ssonlinestore.com site is deployed to production environment. I am navigating to the ssonlinestore.com in the production environment, performing some basic navigation checks. This is the diagrammatic view of the Azure Pipeline stages and its execution status. This is the code coverage report generated and its details. These are test results of unit, integration and end-to-end test details, which were executed and published in the pipeline. These are details of deployments in different environments. This is the details of associated pipeline. This Azure DevOps pipeline enforces quality by validating the SS Online Store application through a structured test pyramid before releasing to production. Only after successfully validating the test pyramid the pipeline execute a safe, zero downtime blue or green deployment to production, with instant rollback capabilities if issues arise. In the demo series, the complete software development life cycle and Azure DevOps built with best practices is demoed. Thanks for watching.